What is up,
All right.
everybody?
What's up, everybody? What
Man,
is
the
up? Glad to
market.
have you guys in.
I'm surprised
No,
to
go
see
ahead, Cody.
Bitcoin at almost. I'm surprised to see Bitcoin at 48K. Man, some alts are lagging behind. I woke up to see Quant at number 58 on market cap, so it's actually
Hmm.
almost number 60. It used to be all the way up to like 30 something, and
Hmm.
I don't know if that's a concerning thing for QNT that the market cap slipped a little bit, but I think overall the fact that it's still holding the $100 range, people will see that. Not only that, I just feel like because it's lagging behind right now in the bull run, it could shine. But we'll see. I'm actually trying to buy Chainlink, so I'm hedging Quant with Chainlink. So I got, let's say, $11,000 worth of Chainlink. I'm gonna dollar cost average $11,000 worth of Quant. I want $11,000 over 10K of both coins, Quant and Chainlink.
Oh, absolutely. I did some restructuring of my portfolio too, as you guys know. But
What'd you do?
welcome in there. Before we get going into what's in my portfolio, guys, I just want to go over some basics here. We got the markets kind of going back in the positive direction. We have, of course, Bitcoin back at 40 over the 48K mark. We got
2,500.
Ethereum at 2,500. We have XRP holding 52 cents. Chainlink over $20. Polkadot a little over 7. We got Litecoin over 72. We got Atom over 10. We got Caspa at 14 cents. We have Hedera at coming up on 8 cents, getting ready to hit it. And we have Quant hovering at $103, just kind of
But you
holding
see,
that all
but
right.
you see how it's kind of dropped, like in market cap ranking. Like it's all the way down to 60, and I think it'll hover around 50 in the late 40s to 60s market cap range. I'm pretty sure for a while, but I think once it hits that big pump in the bull run, I think honestly it'll be in the top 30 range,
Oh,
top
absolutely.
top 20, top 30 ish, because. Man, it's the fact that okay, if we were back in 2020, if we were at $50-$60 quant, I would be very worried. I'm not gonna lie. If quant was at like $40 to $50 right now, back in the early 2020, but the fact that quant's actually been holding its value. I mean, yeah, it is down 23% for the year, but it's just not the time for tokens like quant yet. I mean, yeah, Chainlink is doing well, but that's because Chainlink has, it's been around, it's more established. But Quant, it's like the tokenomics of Quant. It's just so easy to move Quant in value. It's inevitable.
Oh, absolutely. And to let you guys know, I'm currently actually only down 6% on my crypto portfolio. I was at 3.1 million. Now I'm at 2.9. A lot of it is because I put into coins that have a little bit more high risk, like AdShare and Litecoin and COS and Arboretum. Arboretum, although it looks like I gained a little bit on Arboretum, but I did put a lot of money.
Arbitrum.
Arbitrum. I keep getting that name wrong. I do apologize. It's ARB.
Oh, you're good, man.
Just let everyone know. So I do get names wrong, so I do apologize. But you know,
Fun fact.
but,
Speaking of Arbitrum,
mm-hmm. Oh, go ahead, buddy.
Chainlink CCIP, the beta is on Arbitrum mainnet, so that's actually interesting.
Oh, okay. Okay, because I haven't read up much. I've been trying to get a video together for you guys on it, but Cody and I talked about it. And usually Cody's picks are when you start doing analysis, they're usually pretty good. So I'm taking a huge bet on Arbitrum for you for my portfolio. But I added when it was going down, I added 2 more Bitcoin to my portfolio, added a few more ETH to my portfolio. Still, those are still pretty much the most dominant aside from
Oh,
Chainlink. Chainlink is about the same as Ethereum for me in my portfolio.
I love Chainlink. Chainlink's like a mini Ethereum in a way, but it's not the exact same thing. Like it's actually trying to bridge traditional like real world assets. But what I was gonna say was I actually went out with a buddy last night to Dixon, and
Mm-hmm.
he was showing me what's on his ledger. He's about he's almost 2 years older than me. He just turned 25. I'm 23, turning 24 this year. But he showed me his crypto portfolio. This man has $80,000 in his crypto portfolio. He said he crossed 80,000 last year. The last time he showed me his portfolio, he was at about 45,000. So he went from 45,000 to 80,000 in a year in his portfolio. So
That's good.
his crypto portfolio went up 40K in a year, and that's a whole salary. His portfolio went
Mhm.
up by a whole salary. So that's good.
Yeah, you guys can understand that. I'll take that win any day. We're not trying to get magnificent gains. We're just trying to get steady, accurate growth, so that way you can have future success in your portfolio and your investment ventures. But moving on to stocks, just so we can cover my stock portfolio. As you guys know, I dropped NLY, ORC, and BlackRock out of my portfolio since they are heavily involved in real estate and the the lending uh, ecosystem of the finance division or the finance arena. So I'm not even wanting to be bothered with that because they're going to take some huge hits over the next couple of years. So I pulled out. That means I pulled out of all the mortgage and student loan based companies in my portfolio, and now I'm focusing on basically retail and commodities, and mainly like Costco and Walmart, Apple, Microsoft, Porch Moving Group, which is a moving company, and Coinbase, Healthcare Association, and Bank of America. And I put in a huge order for Walmart, not Walmart. I'm sorry, Amazon stock to kind of hedge my bet against my Walmart position, and I hope it will pan out. Otherwise, I'm up 1% on my portfolio from beginning of January to now. So I'm up
You
1%
know,
on that side, which is $18,000 on a $2.8 million portfolio. I'm sorry, you're going to say something,
my
Cody?
goal for the next yeah, my goal is, if I walk out of, let's say we get a big bull run, right? And I walk out of the big bull run with like, I don't know, 200K, right? My goal is historically, you want to wait about a year after Bitcoin all-time highs, about a year to buy Bitcoin after it all-time highs. Um, I want to put at least $100,000 into Bitcoin next bear market. I really do. My goal is in the next 2 years. So in 2026, probably quarter 3 of 2026, I want to put 100K in Bitcoin. I want to wire 100K into Bitcoin because, yeah, I could put 100K in the S&P 500, but I'd be almost 60 before that turns into a million. Whether if I put that 100,000 into Bitcoin, especially with how Bitcoin, like just how the store of value is, like I just feel like doing research and stuff. I just feel like 100,000 would be better put into Bitcoin than the S&P 500. That's just my opinion.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, short term crypto is probably going to be a little bit better than the S&P 500, but you guys got to
Yeah.
understand when you get to a position where, when you're in Cody's position, it's good you can afford to make that one big bet for a short term, and then you got to diversify when you get
Older.
when you get older and you get more wealth. That way you can keep growing in other areas, because let me tell you, not every area is going to always make money. At some point crypto is
Yeah.
not going to propel forward as fast as another area, which is why I'm also in, even with my businesses, I have moving and logistics. I'm part owner of a construction company. I now am a full owner of a furniture store franchise, and I am now part of I now will be building a little bit a different kind of like online media company, and come as we're building this year. And then what I'm also doing is building my portfolio and my real estate management and stuff like that. So that way if anything kind of breaks down, or I'm going to have a gain somewhere, that's just how I'm focused on. And what I'm focused on mainly is kind of, I do apologize, my thoughts are kind of random because I'm watching you guys in the chats, and I'm looking at trying to convey my ideas to you guys. But I'm focused on really just cash flow for myself and for my businesses to maintain just a steady cash flow. I'm not looking to make phenomenal gains. I'm just looking to maintain my cash flows and maintain a steady growth of investments. Because believe it or not, when you're trying to run businesses and everything, it's not yachts and exotics. It's really more of spreadsheets and stress. So just keep that in mind, guys. The more money you make, it's not like a solving. It doesn't solve everything for you. It just helps you get it's a tool to help you get the things that you need. And in
I
most
was
cases,
saying this
getting
to
out of debt.
myself yesterday.
No, go ahead, Cody.
Oh, I was saying this to myself yesterday. Sometimes I like to think out loud, but like yesterday, I was telling myself, I was like, everybody thinks starting a business is like the TikTok entrepreneur. They think that, oh, I can save up $8,000 to $15,000 and start a business, and in the next 2 to 3 years or 5 years, I'll be a millionaire. And it's like the reality of it is you can still become wealthy working in corporate America. I don't care what anybody says. If you work in corporate America, and you set yourself up to where, let's say you're making 300,000 plus a year, right? It's like you live frugally. You drive like a car that's paid off. That's like, I don't know, $20,000, $30,000. It's paid off. You're not living above your means. You pocket, I'd say, you make $300,000 and you try to put away like 150 to 200,000. Like, you'll be golden. And like, so a lot of people think you have to start a business or you have to like join a certain type of industry, like the music industry and stuff, to become wealthy. I think that's all stupid. You can work for corporate America, you can live frugally, you can invest, and you can build your wealth. You don't have to start a business to become wealthy. You really don't. And that's what a lot of people need to realize. Like, see, you started the business route, you took the business route because you're not only built for it, but you actually have a product that is profitable. Like, you have, Titan Moving, which is very profitable because what you do. But like, everybody thinks like they can start their own moving company and stuff, and then what happens is they go through the trials and errors that you went through, and they can't handle it.
Yeah, and fun fact, Cody worked for me during my growth period where we were growing and building our first site. And he watched alone like our competition rise up and then disappear, rise up, disappear. We're watching our competitors disappear one by one. As
Yeah.
like Cody said, it's just about how many obstacles can you overcome. And every time you get knocked down, is that going to be the last time, or are you going to get up one more time? But it's, even though those words are easy to say, it's hard when you're in there and you're staring at your bank account. You got $0 in it, and you got a $25,000 payroll to come up with in like 5 days, and you're desperately trying to get it there. So, like, when you're in that position, it's hard. And I'll say 99% of people give up, and it's okay because
They say
this life ain't meant for everybody.
they say that it's actually not the first year of business that most businesses say it's failed. They say it's actually the second to fifth year that most businesses just go completely bankrupt. And like, I hate to tell people say, oh well, if you're making $400,000 or $400,000 to $600,000 a year working in corporate America, the work environment must suck. Like, the work politics must suck. It must be a toxic work environment. I'm like, well, yeah, it most likely is. But pick your poison. Would you rather deal with hard, extremely hard work politics with a toxic work environment, or would you rather, worry about a business, worrying about paying your employees, having money to have overhead, keep your lights on, and stuff like that, and paying people that depend on you because they work on you? It's like, pick your poison. Like, both of them are hard, but honestly, like you said, Sal, like you said, if you could go back in time, you'd take the corporate America politics BS, because we all know corporate America has its flaws, but it's like, it's starting a business is so much harder. It really is. It's not
Yes,
even
it
just
is.
harder. It can take years off your life if you're stressing too much.
Oh yeah, it definitely can. It definitely can. Shout out to you guys in the chat. Shout out to Crypto Dream too. Before we continue, but shout out to Crypto Dream. Thanks for joining in. Glad to have you in here. One of our great longtime supporters. Also, shout out to his channel. Help him get over 500 subscribers. He's so close. He's getting there. So help him out. And he does drop some pretty good videos. He is a family man and a working man, so he does not drop as frequently as I do. But go listen to his content because he has a great. It's always good to take a perspective from someone who's kind of in the middle working class and is trying to elevate and grow. And his videos are definitely a good way to take a different mindset off of. And shout out to R3A. Glad to have you in here, buddy. We'll drop that link for everybody to join in, talk about their portfolios in just a little bit. So as Cody
Jupiter airdrop and Solana. I actually haven't heard of Jupiter or the Jupiter airdrop. That's actually pretty interesting. I'll look into that, but honestly, I'm not invested in Solana. Do I hate Solana? No. When you use the Solana network, it's a great network to use. It really is. Like, it's a great network to use, but my thing about the whole ETH killer thing is there's a give and take. It's the blockchain trilemma. We've all heard that saying, but Ethereum, we all know, is a lot more decentralized than Solana. But because it's so much more decentralized, you pay for that via the fees. It's like Solana is not very decentralized at all, but it's so quick and nice and fun to use. So you have things like outages and low fees can contribute to that because it's so easy to clog up the network because it's so cheap to do it. And not only that, it's like the outages have just that recent outage we have. It just comes to show me that 2021 problems. It's like a skeleton in the closet for Solana. It kind of like it haunts Solana, the outage stuff. And could you imagine when we're in a big bull run, we have all this liquidity, the market's worth way more than $3 trillion. Solana crashes. All of a sudden, all this value, you can't move anything. It's scary. And that's why it's like I stay away from Solana. Is the network easier to use than Ethereum and better? Yeah. But Ethereum has like perks, decentralization. And this goes to show me that the love for decentralization is going away in crypto. Crypto is drifting away from the like nerdy DeFi, like, oh, I'm the guy in my basement who's on DeFi all the time. Like, those are only the diehard crypto users. The mainstream crypto users, they like stuff like Solana. They like stuff like Avalanche and like the meme tokens like Cock. Because on Avalanche, one of their meme OQ, Cock, it's a chicken. Cock coin, which is meme coins and stuff like that. That's the mainstream. But the diehard crypto user, they're the only ones that care about decentralization. The people who are mainly just price go up, they don't really care for decentralization.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Cody's got a strong point there. I exited my Solana position after the last crash. I just exited out. I made my money. I got in at like the high 30s, low 40s. I'm exiting out. I made some money. I'm not trying to get back in there. I think there are better opportunities. But even as I spoke with Aiden before, like I may be shifting my growth into like where I'm putting my money. Because right now I have, as you can know, from all the dividends I collected so far from my businesses and everything and my salaries. So I have right now free $4.3 million in cash. And I'm probably going to go put it in real estate. That's just the honest truth right now.
Yeah. That's what Aiden talked about. He's a very smart dude.
Oh yeah, and right now I think I'm finding some great deals on duplexes for $100,000, 200. I could stop up a lot more doors because, as you guys know, if you've been a long time follower, I don't focus on trying to get like a $500,000 property to rent out. I try to get low-end properties that I can rent out to people that actually really, really need the house, but are probably never really going to get their own house. So they're probably going to be stuck in that forever rent cycle. But I offer a cheap rent solution. So like most of my properties are somewhere between 800 and for like the houses, no more than 1,500 for the properties. And granted, I do put in a lot of work into those. I don't give people shit properties. That's not something I like to do. I like to give them, instead of that particle board countertop, I like to give actual quartz or granite countertops. Instead of,
Remember that property you sent to the...
Oh, that one I sent into the...
Oh, sorry.
That one?
The one you sent to the Discord? Yeah, and you were like, there's got to be a catch. That one looked good.
Yeah, it does look good. I'm thinking about putting in an offer on it because nobody's really buying these. And like I'm starting to go into some major city areas like Little Rock, Tulsa, Oklahoma City, Kansas City, St. Louis, because a lot of people have exited and there's a lot of cheap housing, rehab it up, get grants and loans from the government on the cheap, and be able to get those properties back on the market and make quite a bit of money. The only thing I'm staying away from, guys, I know there's a lot of gurus out there talking about the Section 8, but you don't want to be in Section 8. You don't want to be in Section 8. It's
Oh,
brutal.
I followed a
It's not
guru
worth
that
the
talked
time.
about it.
Yeah, to me, it's not
I
worth the time.
followed a guru.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Cody. Go
Oh,
ahead,
sorry.
Cody.
It's this woman on. She's on Instagram. You can look her
Mhm.
up. Her name is Heather Blankenship, and she's got a big real estate apparently on Instagram. She says her net worth. She has like millions of dollars of debt, but she leverages debt. She's pretty much following like the rich dad poor dad route, and she talks about Section 8 a lot. And she's a multimillionaire. She's a very wealthy woman according to her Instagram. But it's like, yeah, she talks about a lot about RV parks because RV parks have been going up in value. But she also talks a lot about Section 8 housing. So
Yeah, and the reason why I don't like Section 8 housing is because I know of a few people that got wrecked financially in Section 8. I knew a guy that he was at the time his net worth was $100 million. He had like now granted he had like clubs in New York City and Miami too, but he had a lot of Section 8 housing in northern New Jersey. And he got wrecked on it because they kept damaging it. He had to spend more and more and more money to fix up the property. There's government's more involved because you're getting money from the government, so they're constantly inspecting the properties. You got to do a lot more to meet the standards. Plus, you got to play whoever's in office their political side. I don't want to deal with any of that. And what happened was he just ran out of money to fix it, and unfortunately, he went bankrupt. So that to me just said I'm never getting involved. I want
$100 million net worth.
yeah, $100 million net worth bankrupt in. I think he went bankrupt. Well, granted, it was around the 2008 era, so he went bankrupt like 3 years after that, around 2011, 2012, and hasn't recovered from it since. And I don't want to be in that position.
Oh,
And
while
now that
we're on this subject,
so go ahead. Go ahead, buddy.
oh sorry, I just want to say like people don't realize how easy homelessness is nowadays. A lot of people don't realize that you can look at somebody that's homeless or that's in a bad financial situation, but it can easily be you. Like I've realized that about life. Like life happens in like a blink of an eye. Anything could happen. Hey, it's like I've never looked down on people. It's not really about looking down on people. It's just the fact that how fast life can change. Like the fact that this man had like $100 million net worth and still, went through bankruptcy. Like it goes to show that somebody, making $70,000 a year, like even though you're working, you're making $70,000 a year, for example, um, anything could happen. You could easily become homeless nowadays. So there's a saying I like called "Stay focused before you end up homeless," and I like that saying. That's a motivational ass saying for me.
Yeah, it's like,
Stay focused before you end up homeless.
but yeah, exactly. That's a very good saying. And what I took
What were you saying? I'm
that,
sorry.
well, it's like I said, what I took from that is I don't want to ever be in that position. And I also came from a pretty bad position too. Because like the 2000s were great to me. I was making a lot of money on Wall Street. I was doing well. I I had properties but I was a trader. I was making big bets. And then I got divorced. I lost a lot of money on that. I didn't really recover from that until 2018. 2018.
Dang, a divorce? Was
A
it that
divorce.
one woman you told me about that like she started gaining weight? Or which woman was it that you divorced?
It was the woman that I told you, like she started gaining weight. All like she hit 35 and just blew up. Like it just went skyrocketed. Like her life went a total opposite trajectory as I thought. But she was the type. She divorced me. She got at the time we had a Rolls Royce. This was She divorced me in 2000. Well, technically, the divorce happened in 2009, but it finalized like 2012 or something. But basically, we had a Rolls Royce Ghost. We had a couple other like not like low end Mercedes. So basically, I got her white Mercedes out of it. She got all the cars. She got my brownstone in New York, and you know, and I had to make the mortgage payment on the brownstone and live somehow make it live. So I had to move out of New York, and I went to Florida for a little bit, and it was cheap there. But then I had to come to Arkansas, and luckily that's where I was able to catch my footing again because I even though I was making almost $300,000 a year, I was literally living in the ghetto because I only had after all my alimony, my alimony, I have child support, which I don't have anymore. And I had to pay for her in New Jersey, um the expectation of a standard of living. So, and because we were living
Oh
so well,
wow.
I had to maintain that. So, out of like $40,000 a month in salary, after my taxes, I was left with 20. Then I was left with about 25,000 after taxes, and then out of that 25,000, like 24 of it went to her. And so I was left with $1,000. So, and then luckily I had this, it was a roach infested apartment, and they're bugs. I don't even know if they're bugs. I just labeled all of them as roaches because there's like these little round black bugs that were everywhere. So I had to spray
Oh my.
consistently. It was disgusting. I couldn't leave. I had to, if I was going to cook food, I had to only bring enough to eat at that day because if I tried to store it in the refrigerator, the roaches would get into it. So I had nothing in the refrigerator, nothing in the freezer, and I'm living like this. And I was a pretty big guy too at the time because I was depressed. I was eating a lot because you're going through a divorce, and I'm literally writing a check to the family court in New Jersey for like 24,000 every month. I'm working this hard just to be in poverty, and
Wow.
so I had my car, which luckily that Mercedes was paid off, and it was an old one she didn't want. So I had a 2012 Mercedes that I was driving around. I couldn't even afford to maintenance it because I could only save maybe $200 a month off of all my expenses, and the service on that yearly was like $3,000, and it sucks so freaking bad. And from that point, I said I will never, ever, ever go through this again. But luckily, 2017 she shacked up with another guy. And under New Jersey, once a woman from a divorce lives with another man, it wipes all your alimony, everything down.
Ooh.
So I
Yeah.
went from having to pay 24,000 to wiped out down to I that 24,000 got wiped out. And so now I was free and clear. So the court just said nope, and you can't go in New Jersey, you can't go back and do it. And because my daughter is under my health care, under my insurance and everything. She doesn't. And like I know a lot of guys say is like
You
I
have a
don't have.
daughter?
Yes, I have a daughter. I don't really
I
talk
didn't
about
know
it much
that.
because yeah,
I
a
never knew
lot of
that.
people don't know about that. And
I never knew
she
that.
looks like a healthy mix of us too. You could tell she's my daughter when you look at her face and you see her smile. It's like we got the exact same teeth structure, smile, nose, and eye shape, but everything else is from her mom. And she came out a little darker than me.
Wow, I did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
I've known you for like 3 years.
Yep. But she's doing well. She's I got her into Lawrence prep. Uh got her into a Lawrence prep and that private school. So I'm paying an astronomical amount of money for that. But she wants to go into chemical engineering. She's now, good lord, I don't know. Yeah, she's going to be 11 soon. Oh my goodness.
Oh wow. But see,
So
like
that's what she wants to do.
I've fully decided to not get married in my 20s. Like If I have 20 in my age, I'm not getting married, even if I'm 29. Like, I honestly just, Sal, it's like I've been through the ringer in dating nowadays. I'm talking to somebody right now. Women come and go. Like, I'm probably always going to be talking to somebody, but it's like, actual seriousness, I get really shaky about that. Not because I have commitment issues or not because I have issues with relationships. It's just because, unfortunately, nowadays, a lot of people are just stuck in their ways. A lot of people have been hurt people, hurt people. There's damaged goods out there. And I'm not perfect, I'm not judging anybody. But it's like, for the sake of forming a serious relationship, it's like a lot of people are really just stuck in their ways. And I'd rather just get money and avoid that. Like, I know I have temptations. I know I crave like those relationships, but at the end of the day, like, I'm fully aware that my financial situation is the most important thing at 23 years old. Nothing is more important to me at 23 years old than finance right
Well,
now.
that's what I'm trying to tell you guys. Like, your finances and the wealth that you're building is the hardest thing to do in your life, period. It takes the most amount of energy, most amount of time, and like me, a divorce can just wreck you. And I've seen worse divorces from people. And my story probably only scares young guys like Cody, and more like saying, I don't want to get married. Like, this is ridiculous. And it's like, you see, we had a good life, and she just said, oh, I just want to walk away from it. And now she just completely obliterated it
Oh,
and called
oh,
out.
that also gave me another thing to remember. Like, I remember this guy on TikTok. He went viral for talking about this. Like, he married this girl in their early 20s. They both got married when they were my age, like 22, 23-ish. Anyway, all of a sudden, when she turned 30, she started waking up and she started saying weird stuff. And then she was like, there's got to be more to life. There's got to be more to life than being a wife and a mom. And he was like, wait, what? You wanted kids. Like, we agreed to this. Like, we agreed to marriage. We agreed to kids. She's like, but there's just got to be more to life than this. And then she divorced him. See, that's what people don't talk about when it comes to love and marriage. People change. People freaking change. And when people change, their financial decisions change too. And what happens is you can be the one paying for all that. It's like, people change their minds. Like, the person you marry at 22 is not going to be the same person by 20. I mean, by 30. The woman you marry, but when she's 25, she's not going to be the same when she's 35.
Like I said, and you guys gotta understand, and you guys gotta understand too. Like, when when you're in your 20s, you're a different person in your 30s, and then that person's different than your 40s, and that person's different than your 50s, and so on. But you also gotta understand it's a huge risk, especially if you're a guy, because in my in my experience, divorce is business only. And the attorneys make money, the judge makes money, the court system makes money off of you paying, and it's a huge financial loss. And they will dig into everything, and they'll take a hacksaw to your wealth, your crypto, your stocks, your investment properties.
Oh,
And like
everything.
in like some states, like in Arkansas, there is no like, you only get you get to keep what you came in with. Because like if you're in New Jersey, whatever if you had a net worth of, let's just say, $10 million, and then you got married, she doesn't have a right to to any assets prior to marriage. She only has rights to assets going forward. So for me, we were in I was 25 and she was 19 at the time, and we didn't have much of anything. I'm just really getting to my career, and she's just getting. She had like one more year to graduate from college, so there wasn't a lot of crossover for that stuff. But for a lot of you guys, for like in Arkansas, if you have a net worth of 100 million before you met her, and she meets you and you guys get married and she divorces you, in Arkansas, she could take up to 80% of that. So you just got to be
80?
aware of they could take up to 80% of your worth. And
So pretty
in
much.
1 second, Cody.
Oh,
And
sorry.
in Arkansas, you are responsible for her debt. So if she comes in with $200,000 of student loans and you get divorced, you have $200,000 of student loans. Now, in places like New Jersey, mainly like California, New Jersey, and New York, they'll just cut the debt in half. And but you can't, any debt you made prior to the marriage is yours, but any debt occurred, they cut in half and make it even. So just remember, it depends on the state that you're in too. But go ahead, Cody. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. So let's say, I'm 23 years old. I got $30,000 of net worth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is before I get married. 24 years old. I meet a lady. This is a hypothetical situation, by the way. 23 years old. I have $30,000 worth of assets, right? 24 years old. I meet a woman and I think I'm so in love and I just so happen to get married. 25 years old, a year into my marriage, I make $10 million. So you're telling me like all of a sudden she wants to divorce a year later, you know, and because before I married her, I was only worth 30,000. I have to give up 80% of that 10 million and I'm only entitled to like 30,000 just because I had 30K before I married her.
Yes,
That's
that is the
crazy.
law. That and I know that's crazy. So you guys are kind of stuck in an era where, do you
They
build it
don't
all
talk about
up?
this much.
No one really talks about it. That's what I'm saying. Like marriage can either make you phenomenally wealthy, or it can wreck you. It's there's no in between. It's like a 50-50, and it can destroy your financial well-being, or if you find a really good woman, it can send you to the stratosphere. Because like
Oh,
we know that Jeff Bezos got divorced, but his wife was a Princetonian graduate as well, and she worked with him as hard as he did to build that company. So that's why she got 30 billion out of that divorce. Like if she did not she wasn't just sitting on the sidelines, doing nothing. She was actively helping him and working
they don't talk
jobs.
about that either.
Yeah, they don't talk about that. I know a lot of red pillers talk about, like, well, look at Jeff Bezos. He got divorced and look at how much money she got. She did do a lot of work. Like while he was working on Amazon, she was still working her regular job and then coming and working for Amazon to help build it. Like she did a lot for him. Shout out to R3A. I'm from India, and I can say one thing: no law in any country supports man after divorce. All laws support women, and yeah, that's true because for the majority of human history, if the marriage ended, like my grandmother on my mom's side, and this was only maybe we're coming up on now 90 years ago, right? When my grandparents got divorced, because let's see, she was 70 and passed away in the early 90s. At 72, they got divorced. So I think they got divorced in 1968. So, and that was not too long ago, right? 1968, I think it was. Somewhere around there, late 60s, right? And she went from middle class to poverty. And the laws were to help prevent women from going straight into poverty. And unfortunately, that was the times. Like it's like a lot of this history it's not black or white. It's very, very gray. Like a lot of feminists talk about that women didn't have any rights, but my grandmother went to an Ivy League college on my mom's side. But then, she got divorced and her life just went downhill, like so far down. They were, food stamps wasn't even helping them. They only had food for like maybe a week or two out of the month. So a lot of laws are built around like, okay, well, these women are having a hard time after the guy leaves or dies. So we have to make it so that they can have some help. That's where Social Security came from, to help the widows from wars, saying they need something to survive. They can't just fall into poverty. And then that's where the whole welfare system started building up. Now, it's unfortunately scammers will be scammers and they'll take advantage of anything, and now we're going in the reverse, but that's not part of our topic today. But that just goes to show you how things are kind of morally everything's kind of gray. Nothing's really like a cut and dry. It's kind of in the middle. Like the pendulum swings back and forth so many times. Like you really can't say it was just this way. But I agree with you, R3A. 80% of wealth going to women is wrong. I agree. That's why you got to be very, very careful, especially if you're in Cody's position, because you don't want to get married when you're 25 and then you're 45, and then you lost the 20 years of hardworking gains because you
You're
guys aren't.
married the whole time you're building wealth. That's the thing.
Yeah.
You get married. A lot of there's some people out there. It's like this actually happens. Like they're actually broke at when they first get married, but then they get married and they're like, oh, I found the love of my life. This gives me more ambition, and so they're like, I'm gonna go harder in life because I'm married. I'm happy. I'm in love. I have a wife who loves me. I have another reason to go harder. And then you work your ass off. You make good plays. You become wealthy during the marriage, and then all of a sudden, for some reason, the marriage falls off. She divorces you, and she divorces you during your peak earnings.
Yeah. And then that's what all the formulas are based off of. Let's take mine for instance. And I would say the start of my marriage was as red pill as all these red pillars would say. I'm you could tell she liked me more. She was very homely. She was very very well spoken. She's very feminine. We were both in great shape at the time. She was in phenomenal shape. She was intelligent. She was a college graduate, but and life was great. I'll tell you for the 9 years we were together and 7 years I was married. I would say 8 of those years were absolute bliss, were wonderful. For some reason, that ninth year that we were together, it just I don't know. And that's when my career was like really accelerating, and I was starting to make a lot of money, and I was starting to hang around people who had billions upon billions. Like there was a guy that was coming on to as an investor in the private equity firm that I was working at, and I can't say his name because then people will find out right away who this is, and I don't want to cause any drama, but it's a very it's something we use every day. I'll just leave it at that. He's from a family that created something, and they have generational wealth. They've had it for 3 generations, and he's the third generation to carry it forward. So, and she kind of saw those type of men and was, doing the whole monkey branch thing. She was like, "Oh, well, this guy's way better off." But for some, she was like she came from humble beginnings too. She didn't have a, she didn't have a desire for any of that stuff. But then all of a sudden, when we started living that life, she just started desiring it, and she started desiring more than what I was able to provide. And then all of a sudden, it just changed. And I hate to say it, but I think it was she started watching those damn shows, the Real Housewives shows, and that's when all that bullshit started happening. And she at the time, she was a stay-at-home mother. So what she would do is she would like do my schedule, she would arrange events, parties, gatherings, things like that, while I did all the work and everything. And she would help me. She would come together. We were a young couple. This is where I was saying, like, being married helps you do make money. Because as I come, not as a single guy, I come as a married guy. I was able to make better connections because to other married men, they don't want a young looking, in shape, making a lot of money guy around their their wives, especially if you're the same age. So if you're married, they feel a little safer and they let you into the network. And that's where I started making some real money. And then it just imploded. And then I kind of disappeared out of that sector. So it's just kind of the way it is. And I hate to say it, the one thing the red pillars did get right is that there is a wealth transfer happening, and it's transferring from men to the state and to women. But keep in mind, guys, women also hold 82% of all debts in the United States. So just keep that in mind.
Is it
like
really 82?
82%. These are numbers I pay attention to all these demographic numbers, who has what, when, where, and how, because that's how I invest. I take all that information and I try to plan out where we're going in the next 5 to 10 years. But I will say this is that 82% of debt, period. Student loans, mortgages, consumer debt, auto loan debt is held by women. You ask a lot of, especially a lot of young guys now, they're a lot like Cody. They're like, no, I'm gonna buy my car in cash. I'm gonna, if I got 3 grand, I'll buy a junker and just ride it into the ground. Um, uh, they're kind of going cash and carry. Whereas like,
Nowadays. Oh, sorry.
no, go ahead, Cody.
Nowadays, in 2012, 10 to 12 years ago, you could buy a junker car for about $3,000. Nowadays, a junker car is more like six, five, six, maybe even seven at some point. But even cars, it's like it's a little off subject to what you were saying, but I'm more touching on like the junker car aspect. It's like 10 years ago, you could probably buy a car for like 1,500 to 3,000 and just run it into the ground. Now it's a lot more expensive, even for that type of car.
Oh, I remember in college, I bought a $500 junker. It was a 1972 Volvo 240 DL diesel, and it was a tank, and it was $500. I had to spend another $200 fixing it, and I just kept it on the road through college. And I never drove it home. I just drove it around for college, going to work at Walmart and my apprenticeships and stuff like that. So it's like, but nowadays to get that same car, probably about $5,000 or $6,000 to get a junker, which is ridiculous. Because $500, most people back then, like one check, you can get $500 and get yourself a junker and be able to fix it and live. But inflation. I'm also remembering back in the day when the two cheeseburger meal from McDonald's was $1.79. So
Yeah.
just
Nowadays, a McChicken is like $1.50.
Yeah, I don't even think they have they. Although they are saying, I have a whole video on McDonald's going to drop next Friday about how they're switching back to their value-based customers because McDonald's forgot where they came from. But I have a
They
whole
did.
video on that plan, so I don't want to go into details here. If you guys want to check it out early, it's going to go live on Patreon tonight, and you can join the Patreon. But it will go live on YouTube on Friday for you guys. But going back to protecting your wealth and everything, which is the biggest thing, is you got to make sure that you get in the right relationship and don't don't flaunt what you're trying to do and your wealth. Just get hobbies, lead with your hobbies and personality. That way, it's if you find the right woman, it's kind of a plus that you're doing all this financially, because if you lead with your finances, the gold digger is going to show up with an excavator to dig out your gold. So
That's
just keep that in mind.
facts. That's one
Just keep
thing
that
I
in
need to
mind.
work on because uh sorry, my headset. But it's like that's one thing I need to work on too, because I talk a lot about on my social media about, crypto finance and just like how passionate about I am about that. And even a girl, she can have that buy low, sell high mindset. She could try to come into your life while you're building all this, buying low, and then she'll sell high when you actually profit and make some money. And see,
Hmm.
that's what I need to keep reminding myself. There's this YouTuber, he's a red pill YouTuber. He said he's got a net worth of about almost $1 million. He says when he meets women, he lies. Like he'll say like he works at the warehouse. They'll be like, he made a video. He'll be like, they ask me like, oh, what do you do? And he'll be like, oh, I just work at Amazon. I just work at the warehouse. He's worth $1 million pretty much.
Oh, absolutely. And I kind of want to let's bring on Kumar. We're gonna bring you on in a second here, buddy. Um, we're gonna bring you on in just a second here, so just bear with us in just a few moments. But it just rings true. Be careful with who you get involved with. Be careful with who you invest. We're going to get you, it could make you or break you. So that's all I got to say. So R3A, if you want to come back in, we'll bring you back on. We'll keep you guys on for about 5 minutes, so just in case someone else wants to come on. But happy to have you guys join in. So join in and give your shouts and questions and thoughts on your portfolio. Shout out to R3A. Welcome in, buddy. Glad to have you in here. Thanks for.
Yo, hello, hello.
So, what's your question for today? What do you got for us today?
Man, your hair, I missed it, man. Before I.
Yeah, it was getting too big. I had to cut it off. And now that we're getting into the busy season with moving, I'm probably going to keep it this short for a while.
I liked your hair, man. It was really good looking, man. I really thought someone else came.
Well, thank you. We'll see about bringing the afro back. If I hit, let's just say, if I have a good year, I'll wear the afro all next year. How's that sound?
Bro, did you remember that quantum computer stock which I said?
Yes, I'm actually making a video on it for you. So, and for everybody else, I'm getting my notes all together because usually Sundays is when I try to record as many videos as possible so that I can put them out. 'Cause there are some huge leaps going on in quantum computing, a lot, especially both in I think Japan, India, China, uh, some part some parts of Europe, and of course in Berkeley, California, and what was it? MIT and Harvard. They're working on projects too, as well as Princeton's working on quantum computing with managing the fusion project that they got going on because they're thinking of needing a better computer and AI program to see if they could bring it to another level there. So I did do quite a bit of research. It's going to be pretty interesting. I think you do have something that's going to be a winner, but not in the immediate future. I think it's going to be a winner like 10, 20 years down the road. So getting it now, and especially if I did see in chat, you're 21. So I mean, that's going to hit probably around 45. That'll probably be a very good investment for you. And quantum computing is definitely going to be where we're headed at going into the next generation of programming, Web3. I mean, the stuff's getting so complicated. The normal computing hardware is just not going to keep up. So I do think that quantum computing and quantum mechanics are going to be what everybody needs to learn going forward.
Man, that stock went like 20%, 30% in just 1 week.
I think that I did see that. It's a lot of buying. It looks like it came from a lot of buying pressure. What I'm talking about is like this is probably one of those stocks where you can buy for uh what I think it's like around $1 right now. If you hold it, you're probably looking at something that could be $100 or $200 20 years from now, as long as everything goes right for it in the economy. Because keep in mind, some downturns in the economy can put put companies like this into a setback. But we just have to pay attention to it, watch it. It is on my watch list. I'm not buying any stocks as of the moment. I'm buying more real estate, but we'll have to see what we'll be in 6 months for myself.
Actually, sorry to interrupt. Actually, I was just seeing a BBC documentary. People at 50 years before were not taking seriously Micronics, chip making stock
Yeah.
seriously.
Oh yeah, yeah. They didn't, and it just rose up. It's the same thing with Microsoft. If you invested in Microsoft when it IPO'd till now, it would be and you just put in $1,000, you would have had over $30 million. So like that's the type of gains I see out of it, but I just don't see it happening in a year or two. I see it happening in like 10, 20, maybe 30 years. The technology's got to advance enough to where it has universal adoption by everybody and the average consumer can understand the technology. Once that happens, the sky's the limit on the price.
Bro, and actually the semiconductor, it is made up of silicon. I think you know that, right?
Yes.
Yes, so the 10 nanometer range has been hit now. It is already hit now. Now we can't go lesser than that. Otherwise, electron will, jump from those semiconductors
Mm-hmm.
and slippage will happen. So we need next thing, like, that.
Yes. Yeah, we're pretty much innovated to the point where the hardware can't go much more than what it is. So, one, we need better materials or we need a new technology. And quantum computing and quantum mechanics is kind of because the understanding behind quantum mechanics has drastically changed over the last 50 years. And so, more and more young people are getting involved in it and they're trying to make something out of it. So it kind of takes the scientist to make a theory, then the engineer to say, I can maybe make it. And then the capitalist, someone like me, just kind of say, oh, I think I can sell that. And then once that happens, it'll propel everything to the next level. Society starts changing, and then all of a sudden things start getting easier to make, more efficient, and then the innovators come in. They say, "Hey, I saw that what you did. I can make it better," and then they just start, and that process just repeats itself.
You know what actually I did? I splitted my profits into 2 to 3 quantum stocks. I know some will die, some will win. So just for safety purpose, I splitted my stocks, to two
Mhm.
to three quantum computer stocks like IonQ, Rigetti, and even IBM also is doing that. So I even bought some IBM.
Well, that's good. That's good that you did that. You definitely don't want to do a moonshot, but having some in IBM is also a good play because IBM does a lot more than just the quantum computing. So you're going to make more money off of. You're probably going to make a decent amount of money off of IBM because they will give you dividends. But I also recommend once you're comfortable with your positions in quantum computing, to diversify and to other industries to help build a base so that way your whole portfolio is going up no matter what the economic circumstances are. So
You
you're
know,
not relying too much
sorry.
on one stock. No, go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, ma'am. Actually, I wanted to say that Microsoft thing you said, right? I did a 3x, in 1 year in
Mhm.
Nasdaq. I invested in Twist. What happened, like semiconductors are going less, right? Thus we have already hit 10 nanometer. So that what Microsoft and Twist is doing that. So I invested in Twist to store our data in DNA, right? We can't, like the world shifted from 2G to 3G. So many data
Mhm.
centers open. From 3G to 4G, data center open. Now from 4G to 5G, we are not capable, to handle all the data. We need something new thing. So Microsoft tried to, store data in that company succeeded, that Twist, and its stock went 3x.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've been a long time holder of Microsoft. I am strong favor with the CEO. Can't pronounce his name, but he's definitely doing a great job for the company. Yes, their digital cloud software and systems are doing phenomenally well, more so than some of the other divisions of their company, and that is something that's going to be definitely needed down there. Now, I'm not really that much of a tech savvy guy because it just like I'm coming from the C plus era where people are like, oh, let's just make Java websites, you know. So my understanding of it is not as technical probably as you younger guys are, but I do understand the overall need for it to advance and get there. And what I'm saying is that you'll get the huge profit reward off of it when it gets to the point to where someone like my age or my parents' age are understanding it, know how it works, and starts using it. But as we keep ascending to new levels and new technology keeps coming out, there'll be a need for better systems because it seems like the data is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger as we're progressing. But we also got to keep in mind there are politics that play into this. So like for semiconductors right now, they're moving out of China, Taiwan, and Vietnam, and they're kind of trying to go into Mexico and the United States right now. And so they kind of shut down and they're reopening again. But we're also coming to the point where those might be in another 10 years, kind of like we're going to shift away from that. Because I remember 10 years ago, someone came out with, looked at Star Trek, looked at the the science fiction tech they had, and they made a glass semiconductor. So, and it never really took off, but it's pretty interesting to see that we're trying to find alternative ways for it. So I forget how they did it, but I remember it 10 years ago. Maybe it was 11 or 12, but I thought it was pretty cool that we're kind of getting into different technologies at that point. So it's no it's no circumstance that now we're getting into quantum computing, and now that we're trying to build quantum processors and all this other stuff to enhance and build that network, because we're going to need something that can handle more data more efficiently and be able to store way more. And I do think that's what's going to help us not only elevate technology wise, but it's probably going to be something we need to go where as we're moving from being just stuck on this planet to starting to move around in our own solar system. But that's just my opinion.
And actually, your opinion is right. That glass thing you are telling, right? Yeah, I also heard that story. Actually, I didn't invested in Microsoft. I invested in Twist. They both were partners. So
Oh,
what
okay.
Twist did, actually, in if you read in chemistry, the hard disk, the disk which we have in our PC has 25 years of life. So the capacity of that hard disk will erode. You always see your mobile and your telephones like they become slower. Their processing speed becomes slower day and after day because that semiconductor is becoming weaker and weaker. So it has only 25 years of life. So
Hmm.
that's why we are running out of sand actually. It's so funny to listen, but we are running out of sand, and the sand price is increasing because of
Yeah.
silicon.
Yep. Yeah.
And
It's crazy.
uh, uh, yes, and the crazy part is just 300 qubits, like not even size of one earphone. It is enough to equivalent to all computers combined. So that Riccati actually hit 100 now.
Oh, okay. Okay. Then yeah, I get what you're saying there, because I'm not too fluent in all the lingo there, but I get what you're saying there, because like I know that it's getting better, faster, and more efficient. The next step is it's got to be more energy efficient, and once it's more energy efficient, then it will start getting into everything. But it's funny that you bring up that we're running out of sand, because the same sand that we use in semiconductors is also what we use in concrete, glass, window glass, windshields, and everything, because that type of sand, it has a very unique structure that helps it bind together better. Unfortunately, until we figure out the Roman concrete, we're not going to have anything more efficient, because the Roman concrete, obviously, you guys know, it lasted for thousands of years, and it was made out of a little different. Is it? It's made out of a little different material, not the same sand that we're using. They used a different type of limestone and material for it.
Man, and one another, my 90% portfolio is in stocks, only 10% I risk in crypto. So actually, my portfolio actually doubled. Actually, that Jupiter airdrop, it literally gave $5 billion to all its holders. Look at Google, man. How can you miss it?
Okay, yeah. Well,
Dang.
to be honest, Cody and I just haven't been paying attention to Solana, and I only did Solana. It was 1% of my portfolio, and I sold it at double profit. So I was like, you know what? I made a lottery bet, and I'm happy with it. So I walked away. But
You want to know my portfolio? My portfolio is in Chainlink, Polkadot, and Quant. I'm 100%. I know you said you're 10% in crypto. I'm 100% in crypto, mainly because I'm only 23, and I know within the next bull run, I know I can make a lot of money to where I can transfer a lot of that money into traditional assets like either real estate or stocks. But regardless, I'm still gonna buy like $100,000 worth of Bitcoin. Like, and if I take profits in the next bull market and we go into another bear market, you want to wait at least a year after Bitcoin hits all time. If it's been at least a year after Bitcoin peaks, then you can dump in like a large amount of money. And that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make that $100,000 Bitcoin bet. Like I'm actually gonna throw 100K into Bitcoin. That's how strong I believe Bitcoin as an asset for the long term. Because
Bro,
man, 15 years from now, Bitcoin could be at like almost a million. Like I see it.
so you don't invest in stocks?
Not at the moment, no, because I understand where crypto's going. I understand that it's the beginning for crypto right now. I understand, and I'm not in shit coins. You know, it's not like I'm in freaking Dogecoin or Shiba or Cock, stuff like that. I'm into actual like blue chip projects. Like, you know what Chainlink is, right?
Yes, but you should invest in stocks also. Stocks are safer.
Well, yeah, but like I understand like within the next year and a half, I'm mainly going in more on crypto because I see in the next year and a half. That's my time frame to where I can take the profits from crypto and move into stocks in the S&P 500. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, where did he went? I can't see his face now. He went somewhere.
Yeah, I'm taking a more risky side. Like I understand what you're saying, but it's like why not
No,
capitalize on
no.
crypto?
I wanted to ask who is the host? What is his name? The channel I'm following. Sorry, I don't
So
know his name. I'm new.
his name is Salvatore. I guess he accidentally backed out or something. I don't think he left on purpose.
Salvatore. Okay, got it. He's a nice man, man. He's
I used to work
yes.
for him.
Welcome back, man.
yeah, sorry, I just had to go get some more coffee.
Oh, I
so
feel that. I
We
drink
were
lots of
missing
coffee.
you.
yeah. So yeah, I know I just been listening. I was listening into you guys because I'm just reading through some messages that are coming in through my moving company and everything. But I did
I'm
want
glad to
to.
see us getting more traction.
Oh yeah, we shot up in subscribers, and I see that more and more of you guys are watching. So thank you guys, and definitely hit that like and subscribe button because it really helps us out and growing and everything.
You guys stick around for the next
Bro,
year. You guys are going to see us get a podcast. Me and Salvatore, we're actually going to eventually do in-person podcasts. Like we're going to get a studio, we're going to get cameras. Like in the next year, what we're doing right now on this streaming platform isn't going to be what it's like. We're actually going to start doing more podcasts like live streams because with the content that me and Sal are talking about, if you guys are tuned in right now, you guys are early. Like in the next year, we're going to have a lot of subscribers and views, and we're actually going to turn this into a podcast.
I can actually help you in getting that. Really, in India, you can easily get many subscribers. So many.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I have to say because like India has definitely come a long way. Because like when I was your age, Kumar, when I was your age, like India was still like 30 years behind us. And most people didn't really pay attention to it. It's like we only really knew of India by just the historical parts of it. And if you went to college and were in history, you maybe learn more about India's history and kind of like the ancient history of the area. But for the most part, like let me just put this in when I was 10 and the Soviet Union was like we still had the Soviet Union around and all that craziness. Like India was like an afterthought. Somewhere in the early 2000s, India started getting investments mainly from Enron, building its energy infrastructure, and then all of a sudden now, India is starting to become really went from a third world to a first world country, kind of the same thing that China did, but instead India kind of was on the opposite end of China, where they were focusing
India
on.
is getting heavily
No, go
India is
ahead.
getting involved heavily in tech. Like I like to see that from India too. Like India is getting they're into tech. Like Sal, I actually worked when I worked for you. We were actually moving a Indian client, and me and this Indian client, we were like this person. He lived in an expensive house. He had a conversation to me about crypto. He knew what XRP was. Talking about Atom. We were talking Polkadot. He knew everything I had in my portfolio, and like, and at the time in the bull run, actually India was leading in cryptocurrency investments. Like a lot of people in India were getting involved in crypto. So it's good to see that a lot of my Indian people out there, like they actually know what crypto is and they're
The
involved
funny
in it.
part is, uh, I don't invest much in crypto, but I work in Polygon, Mumbai, India.
Really?
Oh, okay.
So I know what's happening in reality. I know everything.
But yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah,
So
yeah, it's definitely like I said, a lot of and it's no offense to Indians and Indian culture, but it's like for most part, most Americans kind of ignore Indians, which is how, like Cody said, we were moving Indians in our for our business. Like that's actually how I got my moving company started. Was in here in Arkansas. I could tell you right now, they look down heavily on Indians. Like a lot of moving companies don't even want to be bothered with them, and that's how I started taking care. I started growing my business because I had them refer their friends and family. And granted, there's a cultural boundary a lot, especially if they're just immigrated over here. But you just have to understand that. And then
Believe
you know
it or not,
where
the Indian clients that we had were actually wealthy. Like I remember looking at the Caucasian people that we moved versus the Indian people. Like we had an Indian client who was an architect, and he had like a brand new BMW X5 parked out in the driveway. I asked him in a joking way. They bought us all Chick-fil-A, by the way. But I asked him in a joking way. I was like, "How much does this house cost? Like $1 million?" And he was all like, "I wish it cost $1 million." He was probably in like a $5 to $10 million house, and dude was extremely wealthy. His wife was there. The house was extremely nice. This was like a 12-hour job. Like they bought us all Chick-fil-A, and it was while I was working for you. So
yeah, and we moved like that's one thing I've noticed just culture wise is that the Indian families that we moved, I always see them unless if they're a younger family, like the guys in his early 20s and they're just starting out. But for the most part, they're all very wealthy. You could tell that they're wealthy because they don't they're not wasting their money on stuff. They're very conscious about it, and their culture is kind of a family culture which keeps them together. Whereas we look at a lot of our if I look at an Indian family and I see their kids, like their teenage kids, they're always studying, working, or doing something, right? When we move a wealthy white family, unfortunately, the kids, they are the laziest guys I've ever seen. They're and some of them are even just doing drugs while we're moving them out, which is crazy. And but it's kind of like you could see how I can see how culture and wealth is preserved in the Indian community versus coming here because if the parents make the wealth, it's definitely not going to the kids. It's gone by the time the kids are in their 60s. Like the wealth, the money's gone, and they themselves kind of went backwards, and it's like the cycle repeats itself. But like I said,
you know,
I've never really lived in India, so I'm sure Kumar can give us knows how. Of course, there's going to be the same. There's lazy people in all.
yes, actually, in Google and type which country has lowest divorce rate in entire world. It is India. And that too 1.5 billion people with zero, like literally like 0.1% divorce rate. Because I am from Hindu religion, there is no word called divorce in our religion. There is no word like that.
Yeah, and a lot of it has to do with the view of marriage is way different than it is here. Like a lot of people here talk about marriage as kind of like a it's more of like a fairy tale, and you're never going to get something perfect because I don't know who anyone's expecting someone else to be perfect. We're all human. We all have mistakes and fallacies in who we are, and that's what makes us human. But here it doesn't lack. Well, it also you don't get a lot of divorce in India too because you don't have the same drugs and like birth control is very low in India, which means it's not affecting the hormonal changes. And this was a big financial concern now because they're realizing that women's sense of smell, hormones, pheromones, all that stuff, as soon as they get off the birth control, all of a sudden they don't like the guy they're with. And they notice that women are picking more effeminate looking guys when they're on birth control versus when they're off, they're picking more masculine type traits. And it has nothing to do with like the look. It's more like a personality set. Like it's hard to describe, but like there's the feminine personality set, and that's what they pick when they're on birth control. But when they're off, they pick more of a rough and tumble type of guy, like kind of a little rough around the edges, rugged, stuff like that. So when that happens after about 5, 6 years into the mortgage, because I'm sorry, mortgage, into their marriage, after, they've been working, they're trying to build their career. So they don't want any kids. And then when they get off of it, they realize, oh, I don't really like this guy. Or something's done, like they don't like the smell. All of a sudden it's a 180. And that's when the cheating starts. That's why we have such a big problem with divorce in the United States, where I think they say it's 50%, but I remember reading the actual reports, which I pay for, from a guy from the Census Bureau. It's more like 74.5%, somewhere around there.
Oh my God, that's very huge.
Yeah. And most of it's due to because you have like the birth control methods that we are using and the heavily hormonal based food that we're consuming has such a degree of an effect that when you stop it, a lot of people, when they get to their 30s, changing their lifestyle, getting off of birth controls, eating organically, less chemical based foods, all of a sudden they're like, I don't like this guy. And that's what's happening. Because now we're realizing that, oh shit, there's a huge selection process involved with the pheromones that women pick up from guys. And and if it's an effeminate guy,
Well,
he's not producing the pheromones that he needs to produce. So women are like, I don't like this guy. I don't want to be around this guy. But then when they meet a guy that's producing the right pheromones, they oh, I like this guy. I'm attracted. And people think it's lust, but it's not really lust. It's just that all of a sudden you flip the switch, and now she's like, wait a minute, I don't like this guy, and it's like I'm really attracted to this guy, and this is the guy I want to be with. So I can say this from my example, right? When I worked at Radio Shack after I got laid off from the banking industry, I worked mainly a desk job. Like I wasn't even walking around. I was kind of sitting at a desk, going over inventory, doing reports, interviewing. So I never moved. And I noticed that like I had more effeminate features. Like my lips had more color in them for some reason. Like my skin was softer and everything. When I started this moving company, all of a sudden all of that went away because I'm constantly moving, I'm working, I'm lifting. We're lifting like my brother and I had to unload this truck full of a client of ours that's getting ready to move in. She's buying designer furniture. I mean, this is like a 600-pound teak dresser, and it's in a crate. So, and I had to lift it up to chest high so we could put the dollies underneath of it and then cart it over. And I noticed that like as soon as I started doing that type of activity more, I started losing a lot more weight. I had less of those features. And all of a sudden, even though I'm still about 290 on my weight, I still got another 100 pounds to lose, but I noticed a significant difference in how women approach women who are approaching me and talking to me. It is vastly different than it was 7-8 years ago. So I do have to say that. And I was eating a lot of processed foods after my divorce too, tons of it. And as soon as I got off of that, and I just started eating organically and stuff, things changed drastically. But that's just part of the problem. That's also part that you guys have to plan for too, is that you got to take a lot of this stuff into consideration when you're building your wealth too, that these things can and will happen. And with a
Well,
74.5% chance, I mean, it's kind of like going outside and knowing that a bowling ball is going to drop. You have the 75% chance a bowling ball is going to hit you in the head if you go outside. It's like, are you going to go outside, or are you going to go outside with a helmet to protect yourself? Like, I'm trying to tell you guys, go outside with a helmet and protect yourself, but a lot of guys are saying it's not even worth it. I'll just stay inside. So I
you
definitely.
said yeah, you said you have a moving company. So what are your thoughts on electric trucks, like electric semi trucks?
um Electric trucking, EV trucking will be good locally, like within a city. But when we're talking long hauls, like we got some serious mountains to truck over. EV can't do that. You need diesel. Now, what a lot of people don't know is diesel trucks now take up to 25% biofuel. So the diesel that we're putting into it has like an 18 to 20% biofuel mixture, which is made from the corn stalks, which we don't even use. We don't even give them to the livestock. We just throw it away. So we're now making biofuel off of that. And it's a little bit more sustainable, and you get less carbon emissions off of the biofuel than you do off of standard diesel. And more is working into that. The only thing I could say that's going to change that industry is not going to be EV, but it's going to be like hydrogen powered trucks, because you need power to truck over the Rockies and get to the ports on the West Coast, and then to truck it back and get it to there before the food spoils. Because right now on my logistics side, we run 30 lanes from Southern California for avocados up to New York, and an EV truck is not going to make it. You need to truck that stuff within 48 hours. Otherwise, the heat and constant temperature change is going to spoil your load. So you need to get it there as quickly and as efficiently as possible. Plus, the reefer, which keeps it relatively cool, the reefer in there, you need reefer fuel, which is 100% diesel. So, and that can't use anything else but diesel, and it's the best cooling system we have for 6 to 8 foot trailers. So I think going to EV is going to cause, like, delivery trucks, perfect. Like locally, you charge it up at night, you get up in the morning, you deliver, and you bring it back, perfectly fine. But if you're talking long haul trucking and logistics, unfortunately, a lot of cities are going to end up disappearing because we won't be able to truck the food over before it spoils. And that may also, if we do switch over to EV trucking, factory farming will die out, because you can't produce all the food in one area. You have to go back to regional farming because the EVs don't have the range. But unfortunately, farming's logistics isn't set up like that. So it will be like 3 or 4 years behind, which means people will starve and die, unfortunately, because you have to go back, buy the land, retreat the land, fertilize the land, and then start planting, and then wait for the harvest season. And unfortunately, the longest most people can go without food is maybe 5 days. 5 days before they start suffering severe effects. So I don't think a
Uh,
switch to EV is wise, but places like California are going to force it to happen.
yeah, if you don't feel bad, can I ask how old are you?
How old I am? I'm 40.
OMG, and that other guy, what is his name?
Cody.
Yes, Cody.
Yep, Cody. Cody, I think you're what, 23? You just turned 23, maybe a few months ago. I think Cody's 23. So
It's
I'm
interesting to see we both are learning from you, all your experiences.
well. I'm happy if anyone can learn from my past mistakes. I'm really happy that hopefully can avoid it. There are a lot of mistakes, life wise, financial wise, that I made. Um, like I love, like I have a whole video I'm putting up for the business Patreon. For the Patreon, if you want on the business level, how I started a rental company, failed, my losses, reasons why, things like that. So I definitely enjoy talking to you guys, and hopefully, like my experiences can help you guys out. I don't want to dishearten or darken your view of the world because the world is a great place and it can be great with the right partner and the wife behind you. So don't let my divorce experience hinder your experience of trying to find a good wife. I mean, there are good women out there. There are tremendous amounts of good women out there. Unfortunately, just got to do a lot more work to find them. And just hopefully you find one that, you know, that values the marriage and family that you have cultivated more than materialistic gains. Unfortunately, my ex-wife valued material gains, so there's nothing I can do.
That was very sad, man. I literally felt cried when you said na that roaches in your fridge. That thing shocked me literally.
Yeah, it was definitely because like I've never been that level of poor in my life. I come from upper middle class. Like we had we didn't have three cars, we had four cars. So my dad had his car and his pickup truck, and my mom had her station wagon and her Jaguar at the time. And we lived in a nice house. We always had like the latest video game system. Every 2 years we got the best computers that were out there. I never every like 6 months my mom bought me new shoes to make sure my feet didn't get squished or anything as I was growing. We always got new clothes every 6 months. So I never experienced that until I got divorced. And I was like, oh man, this sucks because like I went from eating healthy food properly, working out to where I couldn't even afford my gym membership anymore. So it was definitely a shock. It was definitely a shock and craziness because, and I don't want to dishearten you, but do understand that you can go from the top to that with just a couple bad decisions or just a flip of the market. So that's why I always say reserve. Like Cody was saying, that influencer that has like hundreds of millions of dollars net worth and but they're leveraging all these properties. My properties, I don't leverage. Like I try not to get loans. If I do, I try to get it for a big property, something like that's going to give me 20 plus units. But I don't want to. I
You
don't want to be in that position where I could lose everything. What I do is I only try to maintain somewhere between 25 and 30% debt. And I might get up to 50% versus the value of the portfolio in debt, but I'm going to knock that debt down. So, like, I'm not trying to take on any other debt, and I'm trying to find properties I could buy cash and get them rented out. So, I don't have to worry about it because if those loans get called because they're commercial loans, I'm going to be in a heap of trouble if I'm 95% leverage. Whereas right now I'm like 38%. So I just sell 38% worth of my portfolio and I'm debt free. So that's just me. And I'll never try to borrow money or do anything ever. Just like I kind of want to get back to owning exotic cars and stuff like that, like I did in the 2000s. But I'm not financing. I'm just going to buy it cash. I'm going to buy it when it's less than 3% of my net worth. And that's what I'm going to
I
stick.
believe uh, Koti is right in crypto investing. If you need sudden money, you can risk your money in crypto, but crypto is a little bit risky.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is. And just like a lot of people that shorted Bitcoin, now they're getting squeezed out.
See,
And
I don't do leverage. I just buy and hold. Every Friday or every other Friday, I just buy and hold. I've been buying and holding crypto for the past 2 years of this whole bear market. I've literally been holding my stuff for years. Like, I'm not brand new in crypto. Like, I've had Quant since 2021. I've had Polkadot since 2021. I've had Chainlink. I've been starting to add to Chainlink recently. Like, those are all good picks. Like, I believe in the next bull run, interoperability and tokenization will be big narratives, especially interoperability.
Actually, Koti, I was so lucky that I am working in Polygon also. But even at my smaller ages, I got so much money profit from Polygon. I buy Polygon,
Yeah,
Matic.
Polygon's a good one. But for the layer twos, like Polygon's a layer two. But for layer twos, my favorite layer two so far is Arbitrum. Have you heard of Arbitrum?
No, I never heard that.
Arbitrum basically has the most value locked on out of all the layer twos. So actually, Arbitrum has the most value locked. Polygon's like number four, but Arbitrum's like number one when it comes to like total value locked because I'm pretty sure Arbitrum has like $2 billion of total value locked. Polygon's somewhere in the 600 million range.
Koti, I also want to tell you one thing that I actually shifted to Solana because uh, before before FTX collapsed, many FTX was actually investing in lot of Solana projects, and
Yeah.
it invested in yes, yes.
Hmm. Solana's like a good. Solana's probably going to go to around $600 or $700 in the bull run. Me and Sal have been saying that for a while. That is probably going to go to. I don't see $1,000, but 6 to 700, 5 to 700 is pretty realistic. So if you're buying Solana, you're probably going to get like a 5 to 6x most likely. But it's like if you're getting a 5 to 6x, it's like you might as well invest into Ethereum because like Ethereum, like if the crypto market is going to be worth 10 to 12 trillion dollars, right? Bitcoin and Ethereum is going to capture most of that. So even where Ethereum's at right now, I mean, from 300 billion to about a 1.5 trillion dollar asset class, you're looking at about like a 5 to 7x even where ETH is at right now. So it's like you're taking on more risk by buying Solana versus ETH because Solana's only gonna pull like a 5 to 7x. ETH is also gonna pull a 5 to 7x, and ETH feels like more like a guaranteed 5 to 7x. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, yes. And Koti, actually, I buy in Solana because after FTX collapse, all Solana projects were very cheap to buy. So cheap. Like Solana went to $9.
Yeah, I wish I bought Solana at $9 because I'd have $100,000 right now. If I was buying Solana back at $9, I'd probably have about 100K right now.
Man, that was a nice time to buy Solana project. Actually, in India, due to tensions with China, TikTok is banned. So after TikTok got banned in 1 or 2 years before, there is an app called Chingari. It got in 1 year only 200 million downloads, and that company shifted to Solana.
Wow. I
Yes,
also
I
see
remember
And
hearing.
decentralized
what?
social media. Like, there's so many
Yes, Gary.
decentralized social media
You
projects.
can actually search in coin market cap also. It is called Gary network, Gary. So that project became very cheap after that FTX collapse, and I bought it.
Oh wow.
And it is so amazing to see after TikTok ban due to China tensions and all, 200 million downloads, and even now it is in Philippines and all other platforms. There also Chinese app got banned in Philippines.
So you said it's got 200 million downloads?
Yes, in Apple Store and Google Store. Gary,
Oh wow.
Gari, Gari. You can look at their webpage. Like in Apple Store only, they have like 100 million downloads. Gari, man, Gari, I.
Oh, okay, G.
Is it the Gary Network? Gari
Yes,
or
yes,
Yep.
Gary?
yes. It's on Solana. Look at their webpage. It's so cheap after FTX collapse. I buy it.
Oh yeah. It did. It dropped
It
right.
doesn't. My only thing is, it doesn't look like it's on the Ledger wallet. Like, it doesn't look like the Ledger Nano supports it. I use a Ledger.
You
Let's
know,
see.
Kraken also invested recently in this, and they listed it.
They say it should say here which.
And one thing I don't like about Gary is it's not on Coinbase or like the big centralized exchanges. It's mainly on like Gate.io and stuff like that. It's on OKX.
But in India, yeah, it is on Kraken, it is on Hubei, it is on KuCoin. In that web page, in website, you will see the downloads. You'll be shocked. In 1 year, 200 million downloads. That was crazy, man, after TikTok ban.
It's on crypto.com on their exchange.
You know that Bonk, it has nearly 200 million users now. Bonk literally airdropped $110 million to Gary holders. I also got some. You can
Oh,
look
okay.
at their Twitter handle
Okay, yeah. Well,
because they needed that users.
okay, yeah. Well, we'll definitely take a look at that one too. And appreciate it. If you guys are watching, or if you're watching the replay, definitely drop me a line. Let me know which ones you guys want me to look at for crypto pick videos. I love making those and helping you guys out. Kind of giving my viewpoint on investing into it. But I think we're gonna have to call this one a day because it is 12 o'clock here, and I really appreciate all you guys joining in for us. So really love the fact that we had so many people on today. We actually had quite a few people on Twitter too, and a few people coming in on Twitch. So really appreciate you guys joining in. Thank you, Kumar, for kind of coming on. I know the time zones are crazy, so I think you're pretty late in your day over there. Not sure. Um,
You said about that quantum computer, that video, na? When that video will come?
it's going to be next Monday.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think you should advise Koti to buy stocks also.
Yeah, I've been trying. I've been trying, but
I'll
Cody's
buy
got his
stocks.
game plan.
I'll buy stocks when
Oh,
I
go ahead, Cody.
capitalize off the bull run. See, that's what I was trying to tell you, man. Like, I want to buy stocks, but until I capitalize off of crypto. I'm using crypto as a gateway to build wealth, to invest in stocks and real estate. I don't want to just put all my money, most of my money in stocks just to make a small return. And then what? You know what I'm saying? It's like if I put my money in crypto, make a big return, then I have more money to diversify into stocks and real estate. That's my game plan.
See, brother, I think you will feel bad if I say, I really want to say you got, mesmerized by crypto charts and all things. You got hyped. If you go in stocks now, it is safe. You can sleep on your bags.
Well, I will say this: a lot of people I've met in crypto are pretty extreme on. They're like totally against stocks. They want these like 50x gains. Excuse me. And I keep trying to tell people that's not generally how it happens. You generally make just solid, consistent gains. So having a good stock portfolio is best. But also, guys, keep in mind, I've had my stock portfolios and my investment funds for the last 20 years. Like I just been putting money into it for the last 20 years. And even though I had to give up quite a bit of it in a divorce, but I still was able to rebuild and make those happen. And those gains over a long term have come out. Like my gains on Microsoft are phenomenal compared to any crypto gains because not only was I getting into stock when it was in the 30s, but it also split and divide, like it had stock splits along the way. So
Dividends.
my holdings just constantly increase, and Microsoft does give a dividend too. So I'm constantly getting a dividend of profits from the company back every quarter. So all that just gets reinvested into back into the stock. So that's really how you should play. But for most of you guys, like you really should be getting into stocks like into Betterment or Wealthfront or your 401k. Just put your money in, let it sit, because it's better to be in the market than to time the market. And even I still have like several $1 million in my funds in like Betterment, Wealthfront, and tax advantage funds and things like that. And definitely for you guys, I for some reason Link to and private equity investing is becoming popular with retail investors. Don't do it. That should be the last thing you get into because that is higher risk than crypto because you're putting money in that's not liquid, as well as the company could go bankrupt and you will never get that money back and there's nothing you can do. And even I only have 4% of my net worth in private equity stocks on Link to. So it's a very risky venture. I don't recommend that you do it. Like I have about $500,000 tied up in Ripple on private equity stocks, and I can't really sell it. I have to wait till they buy it back from me, or I want to buy more. So just be aware of that as you guys go.
You
But
know,
Kumar, thanks for guys. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'll
actually, you
give
said
you.
right. Yes. That FTX collapse was a shocking thing for entire world. That crypto is so dangerous.
Yes. And one, you should definitely keep your stuff on your own ledger, but also make sure you're writing down all your key phrases and passwords and stuff like that because you don't want to lock yourself out. This isn't like a brokerage firm where you can call them and they can fix everything. A lot of times they can't fix it. So just make sure that you do it right. So, and it's if you can't do that, then crypto's probably not the thing for you. That's all I gotta say. Just make sure you guys protect yourselves.
Yeah, I keep my stuff on a ledger, and I've had my same ledger for 3 years. So I don't store my crypto on exchanges. I have it all on my ledger nano, so it's gonna stay like that.
Absolutely.
Koti, you are so experienced. I want to follow you in crypto. Do you have any channel?
I deleted my TikTok recently, so I don't really have any channels. I don't have Instagram or TikTok just because I'm just trying to take a break from social media. I got tired of social media, you know. I really did. Like seeing the same toxic crap. It's like I don't know. That's why I don't have any channels.
Oh, you should make one if you think. So you work in a company or like that?
Right now, I just work, but I invest my money that I make from my job.
I think he's getting late. Bye, man.
Okay, buddy. Well, thanks for joining in. We really appreciate you having you on. So thanks for all your support. Hope you get some rest because I know it's late over there where you are, definitely across time zones. But glad to have you in here. We're actually going to be wrapping up in a little bit
Dang, we've
anyway.
been going for an hour and 46.
Yep, almost 2 hours. Got a little bit left that we're going to go over before I leave. But hey, thanks, Kumar, for joining in. Really appreciate you. Thanks for always chiming in on the lives, and hope you have get a great rest. We'll chat with you next time. Okay, okay, buddy. So before I end this, I just want to go over a few things because like I went onto like a live group chat on TikTok and I was with a bunch of people and they're talking like, uh they're basically like, well, what are you gonna buy with your crypto with the bull run happening? I want to let you guys know that, I didn't create like the wealth I had took a lot of suffrage to get to this point. And really it was only the last like year and a half, 2 years that I've been able to exponentially start increasing it. Um, and you don't want to set it up as to what you're going to buy, because then you're going to run out of money and then you're going to be back in the same situation. What you want to do is just have a game plan. If you make a lot of money off the bull run, take that money, pay your taxes, get into other assets, and then get back into crypto when
Exactly.
it's over.
That's literally what my plan is. And people always try to ask me like where my head is at when it comes to like being all in on crypto right now. This is what I tell people. I have a roadmap. Crypto is what's going to build a large amount of my net worth. Like let's say I walk out of the bull run with 200,000. I want to live as broke as possible. Like you know how I told you I wanted to buy that Forerunner? I don't even
Mhm.
want to buy that. Like I honestly just want to buy a car probably for like 10 to 18,000 and just live in like a kind of a cheaper apartment. Live like I'm broke, but have like 200,000 $100,000 invested in Bitcoin. You know, like some other investments, like some stocks, like 100K in Bitcoin, probably 20K in stocks, and then the rest in cash to live off of. That's how I want to live.
Yeah, and it's like I will say this, guys. I did put my order down for a dream car, and I did buy a bespoke model of Bentley Continental GT. But like I said, those are going to take forever to get built and delivered to me. I was going to go crazy and get like a Ferrari and stuff like that. But I realized, like, you know what? That's too much right now. I need to focus on keep growing my businesses. I need to really stay focused on saving and protecting the wealth that has been built. Give me 1 second here, guys. I also want to because like I said, my goal since I was in that roach infested apartment was to get back and buy a Rolls Royce, and I finally was able to do that. Although I'm not getting the car for 2 years. I did order my bespoke version of a Spectra. So when it gets here, it gets here. It's gonna be fun because we're definitely gonna do a video of that. Hopefully we'll be
Oh yeah.
a lot bigger,
You know,
but
it's like a Rolex. Like some people, I go on like the Rolex Reddit, and like some people have to wait 3 years to get their Rolex. Like I've seen
Mhm.
people wait 3 to 4 years just to get their. They placed an order on this Rolex watch that they watch. They don't get it till like 2 3 years later. So I mean, it's the same thing with cars, not really exotic cars.
Yeah, and it's like you don't really need it. You don't really need a lot of it. Like right now, I have a nice luxury car. I have my M4 that that I ordered, which actually got here in 6 months. It was crazy. And unfortunately, I just been so busy. It's just been sitting in my house right now. And
I
oh,
would
for
love to see that thing, man.
oh yeah, I plan on trying to get by to you, but it's like I got days like this where it's like it's just so busy, and when I have less to do with the businesses, I'm working on stuff for this channel to help this grow, so we can get more people in and keep growing this. Because my goal is to try to bring the contributors to this channel and try to grow this into like a nice little financial network of information and news instead of trying to do it all oneself. I like to build with people and build up wealth. So like Cody does a lot of work, you guys. There's a lot of work behind the scenes of this. So I want this channel to be able to make money so that I can reward the people that are helping us grow, that like Cody actively involved in growing this channel for us, for me, and making this, because I'm taking this as a challenge to try to build a media company. So we'll see if I can do it, because I've never been involved in media at all, but I think we can do it. But I also want to say to you guys, though, like, and this happens in all industries, not just crypto. It happens in stocks and tech sectors, and wherever the money's flowing. All of a sudden, people like you think you're living better than you actually are. And I've seen people, like we saw crypto guys in 2020 and 2021, they're buying Lambos, McLarens, Ferraris, all these exotic cars. They're living the high life, and then all of a sudden, crypto went vroom, and they didn't have the money anymore. And now all of a sudden they were selling the cars, they're getting repossessed. Now let me tell you, you don't want to be in that position, because if stuff happens and you do fall behind at that level, it takes forever to come back. It's not like a bankruptcy where you're only $50,000 behind. You're talking $5, $6, $7 million behind. You don't want to be in that situation, because when it's that high, they don't forgive that. People want their money back, and you're going to end up, if you think child support's bad, just wait till you have to do restitution payments on 7-figure loans. It's not pretty, and unfortunately, a lot of influencers that did high leverage yields to get their net worth might end up in that situation in the next year or two, because if the commercial real estate market's looking like it's about to collapse, that means those loans are going into default, which are going to cause a cascading effect in everything else. So, and because I know these influencers went for those promotional rate commercial loans, kind of same thing we did in 2007, 2006, and 2007, they're going to go bankrupt and they're going to collapse. You're going to see a lot of your favorite influencers disappear. I'm telling you right now, you're already starting to see it happen. People are deleting their channels, social media, everything.
What do you think about influencers like Andre Jick and Graham Stephan?
Graham Stephan actually has a real estate portfolio. My only thing is that you're in an area where you have high rents, and he has high mortgages. And during the pandemic, he cashed out on the equity of those properties. So he basically refinanced it, cashed out the equity. Well, unfortunately, if he can't find a tenant for those, he's probably going to end up foreclosing on some of those properties. Andre Jack, he's good at just reporting basic information news. But as I started watching him in the beginning with crypto, but I realized it's all surface level, and I hate to say it, but he's probably going to get he's going to have to pay back whatever he earned from FTX on those promotion, on being a promoter for it. I can guarantee you that money's going to get clawed back. And he made a lot of bad financial decisions already. So, like, he bought a property in the area where you can't rent it out, and it was over $1 million, and he bought it on a adjustable rate mortgage, which was the dumbest thing ever. So now his interest rates are probably sky high. I bet you it's getting ready to be foreclosed on, because if he has a tenant, it's not paying enough now for the price of it, which is why I have seen him start making more YouTube videos, because this is his job. Whereas, like, you guys know, like, this isn't the job for me. This is just it's either a hobby that I like to do, or it's going to become its own business. But I got other businesses that are
I
making
don't
me
care what anybody says. YouTube is not a job. You know, just like being a rapper, being in the music industry, that's not a job. You know, because things change so quick. Like with YouTube, you are one stupid decision away from losing monetization. You're one stupid decision away from getting canceled or losing your fan base. Same thing with the music industry. You know, that's where the term came from. A 9 to 5 saves lives. Like that's what it means. Like you can build wealth working a 9 to 5. Like you
oh yeah.
really can, as long as you're investing and making assets and actually smart decisions. Like you don't have to be the entrepreneur or business owner to make a lot of money. Like you really don't.
Yeah. Yes. And that's what we're trying to say there, is that you don't have to like, YouTube should be like a hobby, and then when your hobby starts paying you money, it shouldn't become your job. But I don't think it's as volatile as what Cody's saying. Becomes volatile when you chase clicks and clout. If you're just giving information, just talking about the facts, and you're not getting involved in politics, you're not getting involved in a lot of that stupid stuff, you will probably have a very successful YouTube channel and probably last for decades. But if you're going to chase clout, you're going to put on people that are high risk, that really push people's buttons, divide the narrative, then what's going to happen is eventually you're going to get the ban hammer. And that's what people don't understand. Like, you're on a platform that's not fully yours. So you have to abide by YouTube and Google's terms and conditions. If you don't, they're not going to allow you on the platform or allow you to make money off of it. We've seen a lot of influencers on everything, and it's not just red pillars. Even though red pillars like to say they're silencing them, it's also feminists too. If they get too crazy, they get kicked off. YouTube just wants family friendly content on here, and that's it. And you know that's just what people are
It's
going
the
to have
most
to get used to.
profitable for YouTube when you have family friendly content, or when you have content that's YouTube is giving people the blueprint on how to become successful on YouTube. And the blueprint is not getting into politics, not getting too into feminism or too red pill. You're not too bashing women, but you're not also bashing men. You know, the blueprint to making a solid successful YouTube channel is being family friendly. Like Mr. Keep It Simple, I follow. Like, he doesn't cuss on his channel. He speaks about the music industry. He exposes these rappers in the music industry. He exposes like how satanic the industry is, but he doesn't cuss and he doesn't get political. And his YouTube channel is thriving because of that. Like, you can still speak on important issues, but you can make it to where you're not talking crazy, and you can get monetization. You can get ads, and I just feel like YouTube has already given out the blueprint. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you don't want to you want to do YouTube as like an aid to what you're doing. Like, if you own several businesses and you're doing well in those, then YouTube can be like an additional revenue stream, but don't make it your primary revenue stream. Don't make it your only source of income, because just like Bitboy crypto, as soon as you lose it, you're in some shit.
Look at Aiden Ross. Aiden Ross is like a year younger than me, or my age. Aiden Ross has like $100 million deal with Kick. Kick and streaming is his main income source. If something was to happen with that, he'd lose everything. If something was to happen with his Kick contract, he'd lose everything.
Yes. That's what I'm saying. Like, you don't want to just stay the course, do what you think is right, abide by whatever platform you're using as rules are. You'll probably make money off of this. It's just anything real money takes time, slow, and growth, which is why I'm saying, like, I'm not expecting us to be like a million subscribers in a year. I just want to get to I just want us to get to 1,000 by the end of this year. Slow, steady growth. Just kind of the same way with losing weight. Slow and steady
We should shoot for
progression.
10,000 in the bull run. 10,000 subscribers.
Yes, and I think I know a lot. Our viewership has gone up because this month we have doubled in views for the month, so it's kind of crazy. But we're hopefully, hopefully we'll get to 500, and then in a couple months after that we get to 1,000, and maybe 10,000. I think we'll get a little higher during the bull run, because I think this bull run is going to last
I think
a
I
good while.
think when you get 1,000 followers on TikTok and you start streaming on TikTok, I think that'll really crush it.
Oh yeah, because we had the most. For a lot of you guys have been with us, my original TikTok channel had almost 2,000 followers, and we were growing like 10 or 12 followers a day until it got the ban hammer. But I think it was because it was attached to my work number, and I had some people that I let go that got upset and were hitting the thing, because as soon as I took it off the new one, they haven't found it yet, and nothing's been banned. So I think it was them. So we'll have to see. We crossed the 2 hour mark. So thank you, Kumar. We definitely crossed the 2 hour mark, and we're probably going to call it a quits right now. I'm going to let Cody come back in. Before I let you guys go, I just want to let you know, as far as progression, um, business wise, everything, um, I'm pretty much flat on my net worth and everything. My total assets are pretty much about the same. Like, my net worth only dropped about 8,500 from my investments overall with everything. So But we're here. It's 2024. My only goal is to get more money in reserve and open up another location in Austin for my moving and logistics company. And that's really it. That's it for you guys. But Cody, do you have any final thoughts before I close it off for today?
My final thoughts are just stay the course. Like that's what I have to tell myself every day. Like, every day like that goes by, I'm like, that's another day down. Like when another month finishes, I'm like, that's another month down because my biggest goal is to get through 2024 with what I'm doing. I invest most of my money into crypto. I'm getting by with what I'm doing and how I'm living right now. I just come to work. I go to work, I come home, I live with my parents, but next year, this is actually the last year I'm living with my parents because next year I plan on moving out, getting a car and starting my life. But this year is pretty much like the last 2 years, just working, just putting money up. I've been living this lifestyle for 2 years. It's almost like I put myself in a jail of just go to work, make your money, come home, and put it up, put it into crypto, work, make your money. I've been living this way for like 2 years, so it's gonna pay off.
Exactly. And Cody's path may not be for everyone else. You got to find what path works best for you. And if you're in a marriage, you definitely got to find a path that works for you, your spouse, and your family and your kids. You definitely got to find the path that works for you. And sometimes you got to make some hard decisions. Like I had to make a hard decision saying I had to work. Not only was I working my six-figure job, but on the side, I started working like day labor jobs, like at construction sites, road sites. So it was like on my days off, I was either moving cinder blocks up as they're building the new stadium here, up flights of stairs for us to put stuff in. I was moving supplies up, or I was on some road crew out in the middle of nowhere holding a stop sign for the day. I would just show up at the paving company or the Arkansas DOT office and hop on a truck and go with them, and you get paid cash that day. So, and that was rough. I was working like 18-hour days consistently for like, I'd say from 2014 to that was when I decided I'm getting out of this. And then I started making the channel. If you look back, a lot of my old videos are from like the 2015 era years, and you could see how I've been progressing through everything. Because back then I had very little money. I was in that roach infested apartment. I was saving what I could, and I was restarting everything. And here I am, and after we're coming up on 9 years later, I'm back to where I was and then some. So but I made the decision like I'm not gonna be able to see my daughter. I'm not gonna be able to spend time with my family. I need to hustle at least 4 years, knock off this debt, get out of everything, start saving, start investing, and start getting some money together so I can start a business again. And then when 2019 happened, when I got let go from Furniture Row, I built myself back up. I'd saved every penny. Like I was working, my job was 280,000 for the year at Furniture Row. And then I was making like an extra 60K on side gigs a year. And I was just pocketing everything I could. And from 2018 to the summer 2019, I managed to invest, save, trade. I wouldn't say day trade, but trade and sell my way back up to about $2 million net worth. And then I took 1 million out and I started Max Force, which became Titan Moving. So, and now here I am. I got 4 businesses. I've got a steady cash flow coming in. I have a total salary that I pay myself of 600,000 a year. And then I have dividends, which I made last year. My total earnings for last year off of all the companies, all the dividends I got from both my businesses and my stock portfolio was 8.23 million. And of that, I paid like 2.6 million of it out in taxes and left me with like 5 something million. put my money into gave half of that, actually more than half of it, to my financial advisors, which left me with about 2.2 million, which now I can invest and do what I want with. So, and it took like 4 years of living in a roach infested apartment to get to that level. So that was a sacrifice I had to make. And trust me, it sucked. It sucks when you gotta come home every day, spray your apartment down. Wake up in the morning, spray your apartment down. Before you go to sleep, spray your apartment down because you don't want to wake up with roaches on you, you know? So you got to make that determination. To me, it's like that's what I had to do. But for some of you guys, you don't have to go through that if you make the right decisions right now. And getting wealth is just a culmination of making as many good decisions as you possibly can to help get you there. That's all it really is. That's kind of my final thought. So I do appreciate all you guys. Cody and I definitely love chatting and talking about this. The what's in your portfolio will be a once a month segment, so we're not going to do it every weekend. We're just going to do it once a month. The next one will be on March 3rd, so I will have that scheduled up there again. I'm going to try and do as many morning chats as I can, business permitting, because sometimes I got to go out. I got to travel out to Oklahoma or Dallas or go out to Memphis or got to go all over the place here sometimes. Or I might have to hop on a moving truck. So you never know. I can tell you March 2nd, though, I will be very busy filming a commercial for my moving company. So I'm definitely going to share that with you guys. It's going to be fun. Other than that, we're going to have more. I'm going to try to get more stock pick videos out, more crypto picks videos out. Definitely, since you guys love the state of the market, I'm going to do that every Wednesday for you guys. And we're kind of going to put aside the money Mondays until we have the in-person podcast, because I think those will work better when we're in person. But with that said, guys, really appreciate you guys joining in. Hopefully hit the like and subscribe button. If you want to watch all the replays, they're all on YouTube and all on Rumble, and we go live on every platform. And give us a follow on Facebook, give us a follow on TikTok, give us a follow on YouTube and Twitter as well. We're trying to get to 500 subscribers. We're really trying to get to 1,000 of everything. So, and we seem to be trugging along just fine with it. So, really appreciate you guys. Hopefully, you guys, stay sharp, make the right decisions, don't moonshot your investments, diversify in a smart manner, and only invest in what you truly understand. But with that said, guys, I'm going to check out of here. Thank you guys. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you next time.